Hi, this is Caroline with Soul Readings. Thank you for joining me. We're here with the guides today, Archangels Michael, Raphael, Uriel, Gabriel, sometimes Metatron. And they're here and everywhere, always, to help with any kind of questions you have in your life, any kind of puzzlements, any kind of stuck situations. They're really good at not only like explaining why things are happening, but also doing soul healings. I call it soul healings because they'll help us really expedite the lesson so we can learn it and then move on to the next thing. We don't have to spend our life in drudgery. We can actually have a happy life. There's just like there's some lessons that we need to learn that will help us be happy. And the guides are there to help with those lessons. Hello. Oh, wow. 2 people today. Wow. I'm so excited that you guys are here. Wow. Do you guys have any questions or anything for the guides? I'm going to write it. So I think they're figuring out maybe if they have questions for the guides or not. Last time, if you haven't watched the last video, it was really awesome because it was like an introduction to Michael, and he was telling us like how to get to know him, and that it was like a 30-day process of really just connecting and asking questions and communing. And because people are always like, well, how can I know the archangels? How can I listen? And so it's just really like what they always say is like practice, just show up and just practice. And it's not anything special. Everybody's connected. So we all have this capacity to connect and to learn, to understand, and to change. We all have that capacity. It's built in. Oh, okay. So let's see. I want so much to be forgiving. Oh, that's a good one. Let's start with that one. But no matter how hard I try, it's hard. What can I do to make it easier to let go? Yeah, that's a really good one. And like for me, that's part of the human condition. That's something that we all have come here to learn. And that's kind of what makes it hard is because it's part of the big lesson that all of us are pretty much all of us have signed up for. So let's ask Michael. Michael, how can we learn to forgive? What makes it hard, and what can we do to make it easier to let go? So asking Michael those questions. So, okay, so this is what usually happens. He's like, you're asking the wrong question. Okay, so on that theme, but please help me rephrase it. Tell me what the right question is. What is the right question? So we're going to ask the right question this time. And so what Michael is saying is that it's not really an issue about forgiveness. It's an issue about fear. And so the real question is, how can we live without fear? Because what Michael is saying is that the reason we can't forgive is because we're so afraid. We're constantly afraid. And so it's that the fear is preventing us from being able to forgive. So the real question is, how can I live without fear? And so let's ask Michael that question. How can I live without fear? And so what he's saying is that you believe that you're separated from God and you're not. Well, this is like the thing. This is like recursive, right? It's recurrent. This is what constantly keeps coming up. Our belief, like it's almost like we're adamant, like I am separate. I am alone in the universe. Like I have to pull myself up from my own bootstraps. And it's this misconception, this misapprehension that really seems to cause all of our problems, honestly. So so Michael is saying like we have the fear because of this misapprehension that we're separated from God and from each other. And that's not true. So what do we need? Do we need to know where that misapprehension came from? Why it's here, where it came from, what to do about it. Oh, why we're so attached to it. So the question that we should be asking is, why are we so attached to fear? Like we're like, well, I want to forgive. I want things to go easily. I want to feel comfortable. And yet we're on some level we're attached to fear. And that prevents all these other things from happening. So why are we so attached to fear? What is it that makes us so attached to fear? So Michael's saying it's hardwired. So what do you mean it's hardwired? How did it get hardwired? I didn't understand that part. Oh, so what he means when he says it's hardwired, he means it's ancestral. He means it's an ancestral pattern. What he means is that it's a species wide pattern. It's a pattern, not just of the lineage, like going back through like your mom and dad's side of the family. It's not that. It's the lineage of the species Homo sapien that others know, Homo sapien. So it's the Homo sapien lineage that we have to talk about. The Homo sapien lineage is hardwired for fear. And so is there a benefit to that? He's saying no. So can we remove it? Can we remove that hard wiring of the lineage for fear? He's like, yeah, why not? So awesome. Thank you for that question. Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. You really struck on something important for the whole species. That's amazing. Okay, so what can we do to lift this burden, this hard wiring of fear from the whole entire species? What can we do? What can we do? Got to pray. Okay, so how do we pray? What is the prayer that we should be praying? And Michael's like, I'll teach you. Okay, so teach us how to pray the prayer that will alleviate, relieve, and remove the hard wiring of fear that we experience species wide. Species wide. Oh, okay, I see. So so the reason that it's hard for us to remove this hardwiring of fear is because we want to stay connected to the ancestors. There's something very deeply embedded in us. He's saying primal, that makes us want to be connected to the ancestors. And there's this fear that if we were to remove the hardwiring of fear, then we'll be disconnected from the ancestors. And we're like, it's almost like we're in love with the ancestors. Like even if there's problems, even if there's aberrant behavioral and emotive patterns, even if there's like big problems, like there's something in us that wants to be connected to the lineage. And it's like we would rather hold on to that, like that connection that's really injurious rather than to fix the fear. Because because what we believe is something that's erroneous, because we believe we have to choose. We believe that we have to choose between the ancestors and the fear that comes with them, or forgiveness and happiness. And what Michael is saying is that that's really a false dichotomy. Like, we don't have to make those. That's not the choice. That's not the choice that's being presented here. The choice that's being presented here is really between living and dying. The choice that's being presented here is really between living and dying, really, because as long as we stay embedded in that ancestral pattern of fear, we're actually dying. And when we let go of that, then we're really able to start living. And that's what forgiveness is. And it's not like we have to leave the ancestors behind. Just because we leave the ancestral pattern behind, we don't have to leave the ancestors behind. What we're doing is remaking the lineage. We are remaking the lineage. This is the upgrade. This is the this is the upgrade of the lineage. You're doing it. I can't believe it. It's so exciting. This is the upgrade of the lineage. Yeah. And so when we release this fear, we release it not only for ourselves, but for the lineage. We ask the ancestors to join us, and maybe they choose to, maybe they choose not to, but many will. Many will. Many of the ancestors who came before will join us. Many of the people who come after us will join us. So it's going both directions. We are remodeling the lineage. We are remodeling the lineage. And so, with that in mind, let's go back to the notion of releasing this fear, this ancestral pattern of fear, this deep embedded, hardwired fear that we have in us that prevents us from really forgiving. And with the understanding that we can release that hardwiring, remove that hardwiring, upgrade the lineage, upgrade the species, and invite the ancestors to join us and everybody who comes after. That's what we want to do. That's what we want to do. Oh my gosh. Michael is cracking me up. He's so funny. He's like, now you're talking. Now you're cooking with gas. Come on, let's do it. So this is like super exciting, you guys. I'm so excited. So all right. So we'll release. So together, Michael is helping to us release. Michael is releasing the lineage pattern that's saying Homo sapiens, the Homo sapien pattern of hardwired fear that prevents us from forgiving, that prevents us from upgrading the lineage right now, releasing that old embedded pattern of fear. Yeah, and it's easy. It's easy. Yeah, we have, why? Because there's nothing to lose. There's only this enormous gain as we upgrade the whole entire species by moving away from fear and into forgiveness. And it's done. I mean, it's just that. Yeah, that's removed. We invite all the ancestors to join us. Come one, come all, away from that old pattern of fear and into forgiveness, into the light, he's saying. Yeah, and we invite everyone who comes after us to join us too. That this is a pattern that now is hardwired for the whole species. The new pattern is that of forgiveness. Is that of recognizing that we are connected. We are connected to each other in the species. We are connected to the angels. We are connected to everything that is. We are connected to the animals, the plants, everything in the earth, everything in the cosmos. There is no disconnect. We are all one. We are all one. We are all one. That's it. Michael's like, that's it. You got it. We are all one. We are all one. And so what this is saying, so it's in the seventh chakra. The seventh chakra is where we know, right? We know that there is only one, all one. There is no separation from the present, the past, anyone else, the divinity, ourselves, a rock, it doesn't matter. There is only one. That is what we know in the seventh chakra. And so, really, what we're doing is together bringing the whole species in a very sort of like aware, like overt way into activity of the seventh chakra. That's where forgiveness happens. Forgiveness happens in the seventh chakra. Oh, it's right. Because Michael's right. That's not right. And what he's saying is that, okay, he's like, you're close, but that's not right. He's like, in the seventh chakra, there's no need for forgiveness because there's no separation. There's only a like what he's saying is that there's a transient need for forgiveness when we are in the other chakras below the seventh chakra, because then we can perceive separation, which is not real, but also is part of the human experience because the other chakras are also real. But the fact of the matter is that in the seventh chakra, there's no need for forgiveness because there's no separation. And forgiveness only is required when there's a perception of separation. And so the real solution is not even forgiveness. There He's hysterical. He's like, now you got it. The real solution is coming into the seventh chakra where we see that we're all connected, that all one. Then there's not even like a need for forgiveness because we're all one. We are all one in the seventh chakra. Wow, that's so awesome. Is there anything else here, Michael? Wow, that was so awesome. Thank you so much. That was like the best. I know, that totally simplifies it, right? That makes it like so much sense. Like now we're not having to like struggle around. Yeah, that's so awesome. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. That's so awesome. Okay. Um, but I think there was another. Oh, okay. So Jen, you also said that you have another question from the last time also. I think we kind of wrapped up forgiveness. That was pretty awesome. What about the question you had, Jen? Do you want to write it down? Are you still there? I feel so much better. I actually like feel different. I don't know if you guys do too. Like I actually feel like much happier. It's like amazing. Thank you so much for asking that question. Wow. Okay, so here, this is the question. Yes, this is in the US. The question that we have is difficult time finding loving friendships and connections. And the person, if they're found, if that connection is made, the person moves away or this individual moves away. So that loved ones are usually far away or something comes up and they're not able to continue the relationship. It seems like the connection is very short, like just a few months. And so they're wondering, like, is this a coincidence or a repetitive pattern in my life? So we'll ask Michael. Is this a coincidence or a repetitive pattern? So he's like, yeah, it's like kind of like obviously a repetitive pattern. And so I'm asking him just like, please comment on that. Okay. And so what he's saying is like a lot of times there'll be this like separation between what we say we want and what kind of like we act out as wanting. And so what he's saying is like he's having a question for you, which is that, you know, why are you saying that you want something other than what you want? Because he's saying you're getting what you want. That's why there's these like truncated relationships or distant relationships. And so basically, it's the same kind of thing where he's saying you're asking the wrong question. So thank you, Michael. What is the right question, please? And so he's like, well, the right question is how to align my will with God's will. That is the correct question. How do I align my will with God's will for me? And so what he's saying is that he's saying that God's will for us is that we experience like this, what he's saying is intractable love. God's will for us is that we experience intractable love. So how can we want that for ourselves? Not just on a kind of like verbal level or like a intellectual level or even on an emotional level. That's not enough. We have to want it like through and through. How can I want God's will for me? That's the question. How can I want God's will for me? How, and that's not quite right. How can I? Yeah. So it's a little bit more than that. It's how can I want God's will for me to be expressed in my life? So this is like just not in the abstract, right? But to actually live it out, to actually live out loving, connected relationships. So that's like the better question. How can I want God's will for me to be expressed in my life? So that's the real question. So let's go with that one. And so what Michael's saying is, first off, you're learning, be patient with yourself. You're learning, be patient with yourself. You're learning, be patient with yourself. And so sometimes we have this sense of disappointment in ourselves, like we're like, but I thought I learned that one. Come on, why is it taking so long? Why can't I just move on to the next one? I need the next level. Yeah. And what he's saying is like you're skipping the best part. Like when we try to like move through things, when we try to expedite things that we haven't really learned, like we try to skip over them, then we're missing the best part. What is the part here that we're not seeing that is the best part that we need to like stick with for a minute? And he's saying, you're so sad. You're so sad. And there's something in you that's like, I can't take this sadness anymore. And Michael is seeing that. Michael is seeing that deep, deep sadness. That deep, deep sadness. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I feel so alone. I can't do this anymore. I need a hug. Your body is saying, your being is saying, I need a hug. So feel Michael come to you and call you into his lap. And feel yourself sit in his safe lap and wrap his arms around you and hold you and give you that big, big hug, a safe, big hug, and tell you, I'm going to hug you as long as you want. This hug can last the rest of your life. This is the biggest hug that you can ever imagine. This is the hug that holds everything that you are, everything that you're not, everything you have experienced, everything you haven't experienced. This is the hug that holds all of you as long as you want it. And feel yourself melting. You don't have to hold yourself up anymore. You don't have to hold yourself up anymore. You are seen. You are held. You are known. You are loved and accepted just as you are. You don't need to change anything. You are loved. You are held. You are connected. All is well. You lack nothing. You lack nothing. You are loved. All is well. And you are in this hug as long as you want and need it. This is a hug that doesn't have to go away ever. This can be a permanent hug. This can be a permanent hug. Whatever you need, Michael is there to give you. You are not alone. Feel yourself softening to recognize that big love, the enormity of that love, and feel that love envelop you. You are being enveloped by this eternal, pervasive love. The love of all that is. There is nothing bigger than this love. And it holds all of you. It sees all of you. It refuses to let you go until you say enough. And you never have to say enough. This is the love of eternity. You are seen. You are held. You are known. Your life is important. You are here for a reason. Your life has purpose. You are not alone. You may feel alone, but you are not alone. If you feel alone, that means you have to snuggle deeper into that big hug from Michael and feel your muscles relax. Feel your breath slow. And remind yourself, I am here. All is well. I am loved. Nothing can stop that pervasive love. My life has meaning. I am meant to be here now. I have purpose. I am connected to all that is. Nothing can separate me. Nothing can separate me. Not time, not distance, not anything, not death. Nothing can separate me. Nothing. Nothing can separate me. I am loved. I am seen. I am safe. And all is well. All is well. All is well. All is well. So Michael is staying with you. He's staying with all of us. Feel that big loving hug. Nothing needs to stop. It gets to last. This is a forever thing. You are loved and all is well. Thank you for joining me today in this soul reading. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, others, for coming. And we'll see you on Monday.